Everyone's talked a lot about webinars, educating, emails, blah, blah, blah. All roads lead to this, is actually closing the deal, right? So I don't really care how you get your lead on your calendar. I don't care if you do a webinar. I don't care if you DM them, cold call them, whatever. This will work because I've closed everyone you can imagine. Male, female, every different continent, age, whatever. It doesn't really make a difference as long as they're a human, not an alien or a dog. This will close them, right? So basically, you've heard this before. Sell me this pen, right? It's Wolf of Wall Street, that sales thing. But what this is sort of talking about in the movie is supply and demand, right? So it's like, sell me this pen. He replies with, oh, write your name. He's like, I don't have a pen. I'm looking at this a little bit differently. If I ask one of you guys, like, write your name on a pen, on a piece of paper, I'll give you $1 million. You could go and buy a pen, right? There's plenty of supply, okay? But if I said, write your name on a piece of paper in 5 seconds, and I'll give you $1 million, this creates a very unique thing. Urgency. This is what you sell. You don't sell AI. You don't sell automations. Maybe when you're getting, and this is what Scott said really, really well, they don't give a fuck about your tools. You sell urgency, right? So humans are biologically wired to fear missing out on things. We don't want to be outside of the pack, of the herd. We want to be in the trend. And he is correct that we are all way ahead of everyone else. Like, I was still closing Easy Grow this year, and like, that's a appointment booking program at the highest level. There's not that many AI people coming on still, right? It's still marketing agencies, still SMA, all that sort of stuff. So you guys are very, very far ahead, but this is what you need to start selling. You need to start selling the urgency. Now, why I know this is because when I was taking these calls, I learned something really important, is that people run a lot faster away from the consequential outcomes of not making a change than they do to a new boat. So when I first started selling, I wasn't doing 100K cash collected straight away. Actually, I had an agency and I bought Charlie's program. And then I was making YouTube videos, long story. He hired me and he's like, dude, you're gonna make 30K a month, you're gonna kill it. I made 3K a month for 3 months. And I was like, holy shit, and I got fired, funnily enough. But when I got fired and then re-put on the calendar after I did outbound dialing and whatever and just worked my way back, this is what I really started to learn, is process matters more than anything. So this slideshow sucks. It's the most uninteresting slideshow you've seen all day. And that is the point. Stop trying to be fancy at sales. Stop trying to be flashy. It's all about process. I'm not talking about how you get them onto the call. I'm actually talking about the process that you conduct. It's not about just being charismatic, right? Like, sure, I'm relatively good at talking to people. I always have been. I'm a bit more extroverted and I really suck at technology. But I talk too much, right? And that hurt my conversion rate for a really, really long time. It's about talking less and just following a structure that you can repeat multiple times. Now, neglecting sales and your ability, right? Because all of you right now, you don't have, I don't want to make an assumption, but probably no one here, A, has enough money or has enough appointment flow to justify hiring a closer. Because if you want someone who can come into your business and close more than you, because they have to care more, they actually have to be really good at their job. Let's just say, for example, someone came to me. The very first question I would ask is, all right, how many appointments do you have and what's your current rep making? Or what are you making cash collected? If it's anything under 40K, I'm like, why would I go there, right? So you need to learn this yourself. Like, if we just thought about this for a second, let's say that you're taking 10 sales calls a week and you're making 50K a month, okay? And your conversion rate is 10%, or let's say 20%. You could double your business by doubling the amount of calls that you take and just not doing anything with your sales. You could do that. Now, actually, the statistics show that the more calls you take, the shittier you get at sales, right? But you've also lost 10 hours a week. And you've also probably spent more money and more time getting those appointments, right? So those 10 hours are really important to you. Or you could just learn how to close at 40%. And just like that, you've doubled your business, you've saved 10 hours, and once you can convert 40% of your leads, you can teach someone else. And when you can teach someone else, you have infinite time and infinite scaling capacity. Because I love all you guys, AI guys. I'm not an AI guy. Like, you guys are the best. I think it's awesome, but it will never not make me laugh when I watch a YouTube video and I click on their funnel, a guy who preaches AI automations, and it's a funnel to a human sales call. It's always going to be the bottleneck. In my opinion, it's very unlikely that high ticket deals, and I'm talking like at least 8K and above, like 5K and above, let's say, like between 5 and 20K on one call within an hour is going to get closed by like a voice AI, right? Because it's human connection that is more important. Transfer of energy is significantly more important than the words that you say, right? So same time, more money. Once you learn it, you can teach to others. More time, more freedom. You can do whatever the fuck you want. So what I want for you guys is to take away a repeatable process. You can actually take this script and these processes and do them on sales calls tomorrow, right? So that you can close deals 5K and above, right? So I close deals anywhere between, if you just excluding payment plans, 9.6 to 30K on one call. Like, I don't do follow-ups. People who can't close deals, right? So today's focus is discovery and objection handling. Now, I could go into pitch and all these other things, but I don't have time. One thing that Scott said a lot, which is really important, with the pitch, just pitch the outcome, okay? So everything they tell you in discovery about their problem and their desired, all you need to do is 3 pillars, and all you need to say is, so right now you're struggling with this. What we're gonna do is this, and it's gonna give you this. You should do that 3 times, that's it. And after every pillar, get engagement. So can you see this helping with X? Do you feel like this could help you get to X, Y, Z? Because if they're not engaging, they're not listening, good luck getting 10K off them, right? So basically, before we concern ourselves with the discovery and the objection handling, you need to understand who you're speaking to. Understanding the person that is on the other side of that Zoom camera is so much more important than just saying words and the scripts that I could give you, which I will give you today. Because you need to understand not just their niche and just not your ICP. Like, who are you? Who are you? Where they come from? What is their background? If it's an A-type prospect, where's the ego coming from? You know, if it's a nervous prospect, where do I need to show empathy, right? Because you can repeat this process that I'm going to give you with anyone. Like if I was selling an 18-year-old into EasyGrow or getting on a sales call with Elon Musk, I would do the exact same thing, right? Because it's all coming from the same place. You really need to understand that and just put your brain in their situation. Like, what does this person believe about themselves? Okay, like what's their situation right now? How educated are they? How much lack of education do they have? That is going to take you a lot further than any script or word track for sure. So sell the person, not the service, right? Because they're on a call with you at the end of the day. So you just want to ask yourself, how do they need to feel to buy this thing? Because at the end of the day, I don't care how logical you are, there is an emotional thing. Like, how do we make a decision about everything, right? Because if you have 5 different companies and you guys are going to get these objections a lot, what makes you better than the other guy? If you all got the same price, and this is what the agency owners struggle with all day, every day. They all pitch the same thing. They all pitch the same 3 pillars, and they all handle the objections the same way. And business owners take 5 calls. And you just need to ask yourself, how is this person going to make the decision? If the price is the same, if the deliverables are the same, if the tech's the same, they just need to feel a certain way. And it's your job as a closer to make them feel that way. Whether it's your certainty or your confidence. And it's not even like you don't have to be the most confident person, but you just have to believe you can help that person, right? So discovery, let's just kind of get into this. This is the exact script that I use. So there's 5 buckets: current situation, problem, why now, future pace, and consequence, right? So what we're looking for rather than words is we're looking for outcomes. What outcomes am I trying to get in this discovery part of the call, like the questioning phase? I'm looking for pain, because you just have to believe, like, to the core of your heart that if someone's on a Zoom call with you, why the fuck are they there if they don't have a problem? People don't just book Zoom calls all day, every day just to have a chat with people. And if they're like an A-type prospect, they're like, I just want to grow more. You're like, yeah, but why aren't you growing as fast as you would like? There has to be something underneath it, right? So never accept these surface level answers. Like, I'm just curious about what you do. It's like, my marketing's not that good. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you're not that curious. So we're looking for pain, doubt, urgency, and cost of inaction. I like to think of it like this. If they have pain but no urgency, they'll stay in the pain. Think of a fat person that never loses weight. If they have urgency but no pain, they'll never act, like an 18-year-old who wants to start an SMA. Lots of urgency, lives at home with his parents, no pain, doesn't do anything. So you need the two of them together. So framing the conversation, I literally just get straight into it. So I know you came in off XYZ ad, whatever, around installing XYZ service so you guys can have XYZ outcome. That's like, hey, I'm like, hey, how you doing? Where you calling me from? Boom, straight away into the conversation. Then I like to do it like this. Instead of being like, I just want to ask you a few questions, you can give me yes or no at the end of the call. It's like, it's fucking lame. I usually like to start these calls off by saying that we go through a bit about your situation to see if we can help, because believe it or not, there are some people out there who are better off doing what they're doing. I'm sure you know what I mean about that. Now this subconsciously gets the prospect to admit that I have to open up and give you information because maybe I'm better off doing it without you, right? It doesn't always work, but I've just seen like it helps, like especially like local business prospects where they just like, tell me what you do. It just kind of like cuts through that a little bit quicker and gets to the core of the conversation. So current situation, this is the time to ask any logistical questions you need to know. Team size, ticket size, area codes, accounting softwares, like shit that doesn't really have anything to do with me closing the deal. So these are like basic questions, but remember, we're looking for outcomes. So in current situation and pain, we're looking for a problem, we're looking for pain. So what is it that you saw or heard that made you want to look into this further? Intent. When it comes to growing your business, some people come to us looking for more time freedom, or they want more money to grow the business, help employees. For you, what's the main goal that you're looking to achieve when it comes to growing the business? So straight away after I frame the conversation, I'm looking for an outcome. Because, I hope everyone should know this, but basically sales is you're here, you want to get here, and I'm the bridge, right? So we start with the outcome. So then we frame the problem question is like, okay, let's just say they're not getting enough leads. It's like, not getting enough leads isn't just they're not getting enough leads. It's not getting enough leads is holding them back from having an extra 50K a month in the business and more time freedom, right? And then I like to also just kind of gauge the size of their business just so I can like paint that cost of inaction. From there, I'm just straight into problem, right? So I've asked those questions. What do you feel like you need help with in order to get to XYZ, right? Because if we just say like, well, what do you feel like, if we just ask like, oh, what do you need more of? And they're like leads. It's like, sweet, like what? But like in terms of like, what do you feel like you need help with in order to get to $1 million a month instead of 500K? That problem is so much bigger now. So we always frame problem question in terms of outcome. So what's your current process right now? What has you thinking there is a better way of doing it? For you AI guys, I wrote this one specifically. It's a really great question, I think. Because then they're going to say, oh, you know, I saw ChatGPT or blah, 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 blah. It's like, sweet, now I can just start pulling out doubt. Oh, I guess like, why not just try it yourself? Oh, it seems really complicated. Cool, I'm just like pulling threads. How long have you been doing your current process? What have you personally done to try and solve this? So in problem, I'm always going for a skill gap because you guys solve skill gaps, right? If they knew how to do it themselves, they wouldn't need you. So I'm always looking for a skill gap at the end of the day. And if someone's like, I just don't have the time, it's like, I don't take that. I don't ever really accept that answer. I mean, like you can sell into a time thing for sure. But if their number one problem stopping someone from going from 500K to $1 million a month was this one thing, and they're like, I don't have the time. It's like, they're a fucking idiot, right? So they have the time. They get overwhelmed with what they need to do to learn the new skill, and they mask it as time. So don't accept that as an answer. So I would always say, I guess like, is this not number one priority for you right now? They say yes. It's like, okay, what's held you back from trying to make the time? And then they'll tell you. Okay, and then what do you feel like you're either doing or not doing in your process that has the business not really performing at the level that you want? And that's kind of how we wrap up that part of problem. So now we come to favorable cause, right? And I'm like, you can literally just read this script, right? Have you considered that the reason you're dealing with X, not enough leads, is because you don't have XYZ process? XYZ process is your process. So we've just done problem, now we do favorable cause, which is basically saying the reason you have this is because you don't have my thing. Then we go to drawn out impacts of the problem. So moving forward, what impact do you see not having enough leads or not having good enough automations having on your ability to grow the company to XYZ and higher or whatever? Then we come into urgency. Why now? Super important. So like, what's the main reason behind you looking at advanced outside help rather than just continue doing what you're doing over the past couple of years? What we're trying to do is pre-handle any like, I just want to do it myself objections. I personally don't believe that you can handle objections in discovery at 100%, but you can start to basically, if you think about an objection, which I'll get to in a second, as like a foundation, you just want to start chipping away at that foundation. So they have less to stand on at the end of the call. Right, so have you worked with anyone to get help with X, Y, Z? If yes, what did it entail? What was it missing? How long ago did you do that? Now, if it was, obviously, if whatever they say it was missing, you just pitch and pretend you have that, right? If they're like, it was missing this, pitch that, pretty easy, right? If it was like a month ago and they're still looking, fair enough. But if they worked with someone a year ago, I always want to ask, well, if the problem has existed for the last year, we found that out in problem, what has prevented you from doing something again? Now, if they say, oh, I don't trust agencies anymore, now we can sort of pre-handle that objection, which would I'll get to that in a second. So if they haven't worked with someone before, I always ask, what has prevented you from doing something about this already? If they say money, this is easy. Symptom versus symptom cause, right? So it's like, okay, cool. So I guess if money's held you back from kind of investing, I mean, is that really like the symptom or is that the problem? It's a symptom. Right? So it's like, unless we actually kind of invest the money to solve the problem, get the systems and the skills, we're never going to have the money. So now you've just pre-handled, I don't have enough money before you even get to price, right? And this is how you start like fucking with prospects a little bit, right? So whenever someone says, I don't have enough money, okay, that's stupid because they would have more money if they just solve their problem by spending the money, right? It's just symptom and cause. Future pace. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. I like to do stories, analogies. Villainizing is actually something that I've been working with a friend recently because prospects prospects don't always love to open up into this part of the call depending on who you're speaking to, right? So what you can do is you can villainize, which you say, cool, so basically like, look, I don't want to assume for you, a lot of people that get on these calls, like they just, they don't really have like a big reason why they do anything and that's why they're not successful because they don't have a big why. I don't want to make that assumption about you, so I'm just curious what yours is. So instead of just being like, what's your biggest motivation? Obviously they're going to give a shitty answer. We villainize someone, then we ask for the why. Or we can use a story, personal stories. When I was at EasyGrow, obviously I always said that I bought EasyGrow, but just in kind of scripted, okay, it's like, why is the goal important now? What do things look like for you then? So we're future pacing it. How would life be different and what would that do for you on a personal level, right? Time, if they ever have kids or a family, or if I see a photo of a kid in the background, I'm pulling on that thread like crazy. Consequence. So with the current process you have in place right now of X, Y, and Z process we just talked about, how close do you feel to hitting XK a month and having X, Y, and Z? If you've done everything correctly, they should say not very close. Now, if they say, I feel close, I always just push back. And there's so much more we can get into about this, but why not just keep doing what you're doing then? And then they're going to say, oh, but I think, and now you have your thing. And then it's like, okay, well, like, what does the next 6 to 12 months look like if you don't make a change? Is that something you're willing to settle for? Why not? So should we do something about it now? Basically, like I said earlier, urgency, 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 cost of inaction, just getting them to realize like, commitment to change is like the most important thing about sales, right? Like you're just getting someone to commit to making a change. So then we deliver our price. Okay, cool, that's discovery. I know I'm a little bit cut for time today, so we can go to questions at the end, but I just want to make sure I get through everything for you guys. So we've done discovery, now we pitched using that structure I said, then we deliver price. So price is really important. Has to be extremely simple and clear. Confusion kills sales. So if you've got like ad spend, AI spend, upfront, appointments, blah, 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 5 different things, like they're gonna really struggle. So what I like to do, deliver price is an upfront investment. It's just so important, it's gonna make sense in 1 second, and always tie it back to the outcome. So let's just say your minimum contract size is 3 months, but you usually work, if you guys work on retainer models right now, just stop. You can do retainers, but like contract the first initial time as an upfront. So it's 6K for 3 months, and that includes everything we've spoken about, XYZ pillars, so that we can get you to XYZ goal. So you deliver price, shut up, okay? Whoever said the first person who speaks loses is an idiot. That's not true. But you need to give them just a second to digest. If they say nothing, How do you feel? Not what do you think? How do you feel? Because now we are in the emotional part of the sales call. Like, there's also a thing called temp check and all this sort of stuff, which I'd normally want to get into. But basically, like, up until this point, through pitch and everything, they should be like, oh, this is amazing. I love it, blah, blah, blah. This is so great. Like, I've had prospects be like, I've watched Charlie for 3 years. Oh my God, this is amazing. This is the best thing I've ever seen. Wow. I'm like, it's 10K. Hang up. You know what I mean? Like, it just changes everything, right? So this is where you are now in the emotional part of the sales call. So objection handling. Prospects, there are 4 objections. That's it, sort of. Time, well, money, time, partner, think about it. Think about it's bullshit. Think about what? Money, time, partner. 3 objections. Logistical objections. Those are the only real objections that you can get that could actually hold you back from closing the deal that isn't skill related. So money, time, partner, think about it. So as soon as you deliver the price, okay, and the prospect says, I need to think about it. This is what we say. I appreciate that you may need to potentially think about it. Oh, sorry, I missed a word there. However, do you feel like this could get you to XK a month? Okay, so what we're doing is we're taking the objection, throwing it away, and we're bringing it back to the outcome, right? Because now we've delivered the price. So they've got 10K in their head, okay? And then why? Why is that? Then they're gonna start selling it back to you. If they say, money, time, or partner, I just need to go look at my finances. Yeah, cool, money aside for a second though, do you genuinely feel like this could get you to XK a month? And why is that? Yeah, I need to speak to my wife. Yeah, cool, just like putting that to, probably wouldn't say it like that. I just need to speak to my wife. It's like, yeah, no, I appreciate that you may potentially need to speak to her though, but I guess for you specifically, do you feel like this could get you to XK a month? Why? Et cetera, et cetera. You can flesh this out a little bit more as well. Basically, this is what we call the retie. The next question is, let's just say we did get you onboarded and we got you to XYZ goal. Would that be worth 6K? So in the space of 3 minutes, I've delivered the price and I've got the prospect to tell me, I think it's gonna get me to my goal and it's worth the money. So now you're fucked, right? So if they say no to any of these questions, well, you're fucked, right? You have a value objection, which is the 5th one. Value objections mean they don't see the value in the service. But if they want to do it, they think it's going to get them to their goal, and they think it would be worth the money, the only objection that could be hiding underneath all of this is fear. And I'm going to get to that in a second. So this is the retie. Now, if someone's like, you ask, do you think you could get me to your goal? And they say, yeah, I hope so. Don't accept that. Really, you don't sound so sure. This is where we can challenge because we haven't started even talking about money yet. Someone's like, I just need to look at my finances. Yeah, no, I get that, but do you feel like it would actually get you to X, Y, Z? I think so. Really, you sure? You don't sound so sure. I'm still not talking about money. So now we need to tick off the logistical objections, right? Normally I like to teach this like money, time, partner, like 3 squares, and in your head, you need to cross them up. So is a 6K doable right now? Is there a partner involved? Do they have capacity right now time-wise? Because the only 2 things, the only reason that someone will get off a sales call with me without me either closing them or like putting them in a blender for 30 minutes with objection handling is they physically don't have the money or it's a permission-based partner that they need to speak to. And I'm still getting money on the sales call if it's permission-based, by the way. This is the only thing. I can't, like I would if I could. I'd fly to their house and find the fucking money, right? Like this is the thing. This is the, like, I just want a quick pause on that because I don't like the whole culture behind high ticket sales personally. I think it's very lame, right? Like close. It's kind of lame. However, you need to think like this. Like if you're gonna close at like a legitimately high level, you need to find the money. It's 2025. People can find $500. People can find $1,000. They can find the money. It's your job to help them find it. If it's just a logistical objection. Now, okay, we've retied them in. I wish I had my Miro board, but we've retied them in and now we go, they definitely want to do it. They see the value. I always like to ask, cool, kind of sounds like this is something that you want to do. They say yes. Now I go to money. 6K is not doable. So we need to figure out where they are financially. So I'm like, all right, cool. 6K is not doable. I totally get it, man. Look, just if you don't mind me kind of asking though, like how far off the 6K are we? And he's like, oh dude, I've only got 3K. Now he's fucked because he doesn't know that I have payment plans and he just told me how much money he has. So if you attack a money objection straight after price, they will lie about the money, right? But we've detached the money and we've done all this other stuff. So with a low pressure conversation, we can get a real answer about money, right? So he thinks, I don't have the full amount, I can be honest. And now I can go, look, man, if it's definitely something that you want to do, you see the value, it's just money getting in the way, we can split it up in half. What's he going to say? Oh, I need to think about it. Right, so now, also with partner, there's a whole thing with this, but basically, you need to ask them, what would they do if the partner said no? If they would still do it, it's a smokescreen, right? Wife, spouse, they don't have to ask their spouse. Because you need to believe, like, I have a girlfriend, right? If someone came to me and was like, Louis, give me 10 grand and I give you 100 grand back, signed by God, I wouldn't call my girlfriend. I'd give him the money, right? Like, because the reason they want to speak to their partner is because they don't want to be held responsible for the decision if it doesn't work. That's it. If they knew for a fact it was going to work, they would do it. They wouldn't have to speak to anyone else because it's going to work, right? So it's basically a responsibility frame, which is a whole other thing. But basically now, if they don't have the money or if it is permission-based, now you go for a deposit. So let's just say that the guy didn't have 3K, he only had 250 bucks and it was a permission-based partner objection. What I do now is, given that you're 100% in, given that you see the value and you've only got 250 bucks and your partner's involved, what we do, it's just standard practice, is we process a small refundable deposit. What that does, it gets you in the door. I can start setting up whatever the fuck you guys do, and we'll hit the ground running in a week once you've had that conversation with your partner. If they're actually telling you the truth, they'll pay the deposit. Deposits have about an 80% conversion rate. But if they don't put down the deposit, we now know that they are in fear. Okay? This is the thing. This is fear. This is what you can objection handle. So the logistical objections, we've cleared that. They definitely want to do it. They see the value. They've got the money. There's no partner involved and there's no timing objection. So now we're in fear. There are 4 fears. Fear of the past, fear of the future, fear of themselves, fear of you. That's it. So you don't have to learn a million different objection handling scripts. You don't have to learn how to handle a bunch of different objections. You just need to learn how to handle 4, right? So it makes things really, really easy. And this is what I'm talking about, like process. All of you in this room have past traumas, have future anxieties, have self-doubt, and probably think I'm a bit strange, right? Like all of these exist, they're biases, right? Then these are things that can be overcome. So fear of you is really like more of a value-based objection. It can be overcome on sales calls, but like these big 3, if you've done everything else right, you're gonna get one of these 3, okay? And this is how we handle them. So let's just say someone says, I just feel a little bit uncomfortable. I've never done AI before, right? What we do is we follow this process. So first, we ask a clarifying question. So when a prospect gives you an objection, never assume what they mean. Your goal is to isolate the real fear behind their words. So they just say, I feel a bit uncomfortable making this decision right now about AI. I would probe, right? So I totally get that. What exactly makes you feel uncomfortable about it? I'm just not too sure what's going to happen or if it's actually going to work out. Cool. Now we've basically uncovered fear of the unknown, future-based objection. It's not money or time. Like, I'm just going to go back to this for a second. It's so important. You have to tick off the logistical boxes. Because if you get to fear, really quick story. I got a little bit more time. When I first started EasyGrow, when I was making 3K a month, I would be on calls for 2 hours, objection handling, because I thought they would just, I want to think about it. But it turns out I just didn't have the money because I didn't have a process, right? Fast forward, started 2024, a little bit before, I had a process, collecting 100K cash, right? Like you can see how that would, make me quite a bit more money, right? So like, it's just about the process. That's the most important thing. So we clear everything, we get an objection, we want to ask a clarifying question. Then we want to label the oh no. Oh, hold on, my Wi-Fi dropped off. Wait, I'm back. Cool, so basically, where were we? Cool, so ask a clarifying question. Then we want to label the concern. Okay, so labeling means verbally identifying and acknowledging the emotional tension that you perceive in the other person. Right? So objection handling is 95% empathy and just making them feel good. So why we use it? It diffuses negative emotions, it encourages openness, it builds rapport, and it reveals hidden insight. So if you, this is the best thing as a new closer, like if you ask a clarifying question and they say something and then you label it and you got it wrong, they'll correct you, right? So this is why process is so important, because sales is hard because everyone speaks a little bit differently. Everyone has slightly different fears and slightly different concerns. And it's like, well, how can you put like 1,000 different unique people into a same sales process? It's like doing it like this, right? So sounds like you're just feeling a little bit uneasy about what happens if you make the decision now. They say yes. This alignment gives you permission to reframe. Now, this is kind of like the meat of objection handling. So reframe. Reframing shifts how a prospect perceives their situation, helping them see it through a more accurate lens that naturally aligns with your solution, obviously. When you reframe, you're not arguing. Never get combative, only ask questions. You're guiding them to question their own belief pattern, right? So it creates cognitive dissonance. They realize the gap between belief and truth. And it opens emotional perspective. They see that staying the same is riskier than changing. So people don't buy when they understand you. They buy when they feel you understand them and they start to question their current reality. So when someone says to me, this is just how I make decisions. I've always done it like this. It's like, yeah, no shit. That's why you're on a fucking sales call with me, you idiot. Right? So like everything that they've done up until this point, those decision-making processes have got them to the point where they need help from you. So they shouldn't listen to that anymore, right? That's the point. We need to reframe that, right? And I'm going to give you guys a script for this in a second. So reframing simplifies complex fear into clear, digestible thought. So something that they can emotionally process and agree with really quickly. Another quick example is like, if I'm feeling uncomfortable, someone says like, I'm feeling uncomfortable. We can always ask them, it's like, okay, well, cool. I guess when we're thinking about successful people here, do you feel like successful people kind of let this feeling of being a little bit uncomfortable and the unknown hold them back? Or do you feel like they actually push through that fear and get to where they want to go? So we've reframed, like what would a successful person do is the question. And then we ask a binary question, right? Which kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be more like the person who lets fear get in the way or more like the successful person? So after you reframe, your goal is to secure alignment. Do you want a micro commitment? Simple yes, no, or either or question. Like which version of this person do you want to be? Et cetera, et cetera. Then we take it to consequence, cost of inaction, help them visualize what happens if they don't make a change, which we've already done in discovery as well. And then we ask an identity-based question, right? So if we've done that successful people reframe, for example, and then they say, oh yeah, no, I guess they would, successful people always like overcome that. We can ask them, well, who do you want to be? And I guess like, when does that start? Does it start once you've become successful or does it start now? Now, you can probably hear it in my voice, like sales and objection handling is just basically be Alex Hormozi, right? Like he always talks about this stuff. You need to think like the person you're going to become. Like you're not going to just become successful accidentally. You have to start acting and making decisions like a successful person would. And there's another analogy like fat to fit. If I swapped a fit person's brain with a fat person's brain, the fit person brain and the fat person body, they'd start losing weight. They'd start eating better. Even though they're fat, they would act like a fit person. And this is what we need to get the prospect to understand. Okay? So from here, this is like one cycle. Okay? You can do this as many times as you want. Like just keep cycling them through this, like over and over and over and over again. Call out the hesitation. Check back in with the retie. Look, I just want to take a big step back, man. Like, you definitely want to do this though, right? Like, I don't want my passion to come off as pushiness. Like, I'm only kind of doing this with you because you told me that you think it's going to get you to your goal and I just want the best for you. Diffuse the tension back into this over and over and over and over again until they close or they hang up on you. So as I said, close the deal. And now you get the money, right? I hope you guys all know how to do that. Stripe link, blah, blah, blah. So this is a objection handling script you can all have. If you scan this QR code, you can go to the thing and download the script. But yeah, that's pretty much sales. So yeah, I'll let you guys do that first.
Just one thing. We need to leave in like 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do this quick.
Sure.
To Lewis, the presentation was next level. Yeah, and then just kind of hanging out questions.
Sweet, fire away.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So, this perhaps a bit more specific to me.
Sure.
But what I've found is when I'm doing these sales calls, right? I seem to have a huge issue when it comes to revealing the price. I have two issues. One is I genuinely believe that the price I'm charging is fair and it's a good product. But I've actually found myself on a couple of occasions when the prospect, just before I reveal the price, they say something which suggests to me that they may not have as much money as I thought they would have had. I end up dropping the price, and so far nobody's closed and I've done that, thankfully. But it was unnecessary because I know they have the money. How do I sort of overcome that?
How do you know they have the money? I don't know. Like, what do you do?
When I reveal the, so let's say it's 5K setup, and then I get scared for a second, and I'm like, it's 4K. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine.
Oh, I mean, this is, I mean, stop being a pussy. Like, there's no, like, I know that's terrible advice, but like, you just have to back yourself in. Now, one thing I would say though is because you do a 2-call close, this goes for everyone. 2-call close, right? Like, just do a 1-call. I would recommend, because you can do a 1-call and then not close them and then just do a follow-up and it's a 2-call close anyway, right? So like, you've still got them on the call, and a lot of the time they're getting on the call expecting to see stuff. I was going to ask you a question earlier. Do you get people asking about your service on that first call? Because I think maybe your niche specifically is probably pretty educated and they're like, would. But in a lot of niches, they ain't sitting around for 45 minutes just asking questions, and then they're going to get on another call. So you build all that pain, all that urgency, blah, blah, blah. So then when you hit them with the price, it's like, it's not like they don't have 2 days to let life get in the way and kind of cool down, you know?
I don't think in the last 2 weeks I've actually been able to collect cash on the call. I always reveal the price. There was one guy who paid basically immediately after the call, but everybody else they end up paying the next day. And I have lost money to that because I was just, when you were speaking at a mental math, I realized the last 5 people who said they would pay, only 3 of them actually paid.
Never, ever, ever believe a prospect when they say, I will pay tomorrow. Like, I've had people like literally swear on their children's lives. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, or just go for a deposit.
Yeah.
Just a small sign of commitment. Because like once you position, fuck, I could talk about this for a really long time. I'll be really quick. But like once you position the deposit, right, as locking in their spot, if they say no, you push back on the fear, and then you draw a line in the sand. So look, I just want to draw a line in the sand. If you told me that XYZ is so important to you, is it worth putting down even just $200 to draw a line in the sand and actually make sure you put yourself in the best position to get to the goal? Because like, if you frame it like that, it's pretty like hard to say no. So yeah.
Some prospects that, you just, no matter how much ninja objection handling you do, you cannot close some prospects.
Yeah, like people like you who just got on calls at Easy Grow to see this. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I don't know if I believe that. I mean, like, yeah, you're not going to close everyone, sure, but why are they there? You know what I mean? Like, if they don't want you to help them, why are they there? Is my question. Yo.
So when I started this business more than 2 years ago, I was kind of given some good authority because I was with the bank.
Yeah.
Basically, I was put in front of the UK's, one of the biggest UK student lettings companies. Okay? I spoke to the guy, the sales director, and he said, oh, my founder, this Spanish billionaire guy, he loves AI, he wants to do something with AI. I'm like, okay, well, I don't really know what your problem is, but let me come into your business. So I came into the business, and he's like, oh, one of the problems we have with the website is we've got these contacts coming in, and nobody's responding to them because, you know, it's like outbound. So I was like, okay, that's actually very easy to fix. And then I did some more probing, and I was like, so you've got 2 options. We could do that for you, or we could do like a lead qualification engine. It's going to qualify leads, improve the conversion. They have a Chinese audience as well. And I've got all this stuff, and I was like, it's £850 a month. And I was thinking that's small worth billions. And he said, oh, it's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the end, he used some shitty chatbot that, hallucinates like fuck. I don't even think it's AI. He was going to backtrack his products. So like, where did I go wrong?
It's like, how big is a piece of string? I mean, I don't know. It's hard to answer that question. Probably where you went wrong was you tried to charge them $850 a month. I don't care if you charge people like $500 or like 10 grand. Like, they're still going to say it's too much money, right? So it's like you probably just didn't build enough. Nah, not even trust. Like, if I.
Showing and telling, that's big though, isn't it? Showing and telling, and I think like.
Yeah, kind of, to a degree, but like at the same time, yeah, it's a nice to have, not a need to have, is basically, there wasn't enough pain. So trust doesn't like, I don't know you, right? I don't trust you, like whatever. But if I like was shot in the leg, I'd trust you to maybe try and get me to the hospital, right? Like build the pain. Okay.
You don't have a choice. You have to do it. It's mandatory.
This is a great reframe. If anyone says I need to speak to my wife, you need to frame it as a necessity or a luxury, right? So you just say to them, cool, I get it, man, but I guess like if you're just sitting at home right now, power goes out, water goes out, and you can't get a hold of your wife, do you have to wait for her to get home to pay the electrician and get it fixed? He's going to say no. It's like, right, it's because it's a necessity, it's not a luxury. So for you, is solving this problem and making an extra 50K, is that a necessity or a luxury? They're going to be, it's a necessity. It's like, right, so why aren't you thinking of it like that? I mean, there's so many.
But when you're doing a big size thing, like projects like 40 grand, 50 grand, deposit, I get it, that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
But you can't be pushing that hard sale. You're creating a custom product, a custom solution. They need a time to digest the solution. I don't have a product A, B, or C to sell.
Yeah.
Service, yeah. I need to explain how the whole growth will help you as a business. Now, you don't even know that you have a problem. After discussing with you, after finding out, after 45 minutes of call discovery session, I showed you these are the main problems in your business. You don't know. They agree to it. They are okay. In because I was talking to Eugene about the same issue, I don't have a product. We sell a solution, right?
Yeah,
and solution becomes like a next day or a couple of days to close it. And it's a good product. We close it, but it takes a burning time. We have to wait a month or so.
Yeah, I mean, sure, that's fine. I'm like, look, I'm not going to sit here and say like, if you don't close on the first call, like you suck. You know what I mean? Like, but what I would say is just do this anyway. Just build, because like if you don't build any pain and they get off the call, okay, or if you build a shitload of pain and they get off the call, better, right? So it's like, it's not so binary. It's not yes or no. It's just like, you just, no pain, no problem, no solution. I don't care if it's custom, standard, whatever, right? Like you just need to make sure that they are fully aware of how bad their problem is. That's really it. Now, I believe that you could close those deals on the first call with maybe not everyone, but like even 10%. That'd be sweet, right? Like 1 every 10 calls. But yeah, like regardless if you do one call to, pardon? I mean, maybe, you never know, like who knows? But like the thing is, whether you do a 1 call close or a 2 call close or a webinar, whatever, same rules apply. Just like try and build as much urgency in the prospect, because the more urgency, the more likely they'll come back, whether it's on the call or the next day, whatever that is. And if you objection handle like kind of the way I've showed you, it's not like an argument, right? Like it's always very low pressure. So it's always like, it's more of like a therapy session. And high level entrepreneurs, whatever, people like us, we like to talk about mindset. We like to talk about beliefs, identity. The really tough people to close are like the electricians and the plumbers. Like those guys are a fucking nightmare. Like even like, but then again, it goes back to what I said in the very beginning. You just sell the person. So I'm Australian. I swear a lot. As you can tell, I talk shit. I'm really good at closing electricians and plumbers. I'm really bad at closing women, funnily enough, right? Because it's just like, I can sell to a certain type of person, you know, and like, it just kind of play to your strengths at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like I closed on a marketing agency off of like 3 weeks after I left Easy Grey. He just did a big launch. And we collected so much money for electricians in Australia who are like looking to like kind of take their business and grow their business online or whatever. So instead of just doing the ads, like teaching them how to do it, it was great, so fun. But like, if I didn't grow up in like a family of electricians and plumbers, I would have sucked. They gave me a hard time. So just play to your strengths, be yourselves. You're all cool people. Be truthful as well. Yeah, sorry, we can wrap it up.
So let's have that applause.
Thank you.
Everyone was screenshotting the
Yeah.
Everything will be sent to you on the email.